I am originally from a small town in rural Minnesota, in southern rural Minnesota, and so I remember growing up as a young child, being in school with lots of recently arrived Latino immigrant students, and just seeing kind of at a young age, the kind of the seclusion and the separation between the two different groups that oftentimes would be broken down in middle school, but then oftentimes not. Seeing that growing up in school and having a lot of really close Latino friends, it seemed like this was the same thing as had been happening here at Morris, and so it seemed only natural to get involved in the Latino community here.
Conseguirte, necesito una fortuna, que debo bajar el cielo, las estrellas y la luna, yo no bajaré la luna, ni las estrellas tampoco.
A star in El Prairie just literally means being on the prairie, just a mix of Spanish and English, and so a star is the more temporary word that means to be, so we used a star just because the prairie is changing a lot right now, and so with that word it carries some of the dynamic nature of what's going on here. So the two main goals that we had were, one, to just document the Latino population in the Morris area. So the reason we chose this type of photography with the people holding signs is that it allowed the people in the pictures to actually tell a little bit of their story. And so the second goal then was that each photographer would have a different participant that they were paired with, and those two people would hopefully form a relationship. And so it was a way to take about 30 people in the community and immediately start some form of contact, some form of conversation in hopes that that would continue.
Each family was very different in the sense of course, location and different times throughout the season that I did them, because I did them a few months apart, and just the different views of the cultures that they held, even being in Morris, Minnesota, because each family kind of held onto a different aspect of it, maybe even to different extremes, you could say. So that was really interesting, and being able to incorporate that in each family's photograph was very nice for me.
I wanted to get involved in this project because I think the integration between the Latinos in Morris and especially between the students on campus, but people in the community in general, is really important. Just because we're all living in the same place, we all have different backgrounds, especially the students who come here from different places. We're all new here, and so it's really important that we know each other and get along. People, the Latinos in Morris and in our community, really want to be heard and want to be represented and are interested in doing things with us. Even though I don't speak very much Spanish, it was fun just to get to know somebody so different and to try to understand him, and it worked out.
The statistic that we use is from 2000 to 2010. The Latino population in Stevens County specifically increased by about 274%. And that's pretty true across a lot of rural America. And that might not be specifically Latino in other states, but immigration to rural areas is huge right now. You hear the common story of rural populations dying, like young people are moving to the cities, the other people in the communities are aging, and so we have these vacant towns. But really, if you look at the statistics, the numbers of people are actually pretty stable, and that population loss of young people is being completely offset by immigrant population, which is pretty amazing.
Really, for these communities to survive, it's like we gotta embrace this. You know, these guys someone's got to step up to lead these communities into the future. It's going to be much more diverse, and we really need to bridge the communication barriers that are currently present.
I am from El Paso, Texas, born and raised. My family, however, is from Mexico. My sign says, I am thankful to be receiving an education. I hope people can see that there are more to Latinos than what they think about us. We come from many different places and many have different stories. I would love to see more interaction between the Morris community and the Morris community that are Latinos, and I hope this project does influence that. At the opening reception for Estar en la Prairie, it was nice to see everybody having a great time and enjoying themselves.
The reception that we had for Estar en la Prairie here in Morris was wonderful. It was a lot bigger than we ever expected it to be, and it was a really great example of the whole community, again, coming together. The Latino women's group here did a lot. They made 1,200 tamales, which were delicious, and they sold them here, and we had a ton of people here. We heard from a few people that it was more people attended the event than had ever been in the PRCA at one time before, and so that was really exciting for us to hear, just because the point of the reception was to get a bunch of people in the same room from the community that didn't really know each other and sort of force them into the same room to start conversations. And so it was really exciting to have that many people here.
I think it's always difficult, speaking truly and honestly, to create a setting where you can get the kind of more permanent established community members, the university community members, and then the Latino community members together. It's difficult. I think we did have a good mix though, which is really speaks volumes. And I think in the future we would like to have these pictures in places where more people can continue to see them. It's not like in Morris, there's just like blatant, outcry of racism by any means. No, what really there is kind of a silence of misunderstanding, and we're trying to break that silence. And one way to perhaps bridge that silence is to put a family story on the wall. This is a family. It's universal.
¿Qué voy a hacer? De veras te quiero.